What happens when a championship architect refuses to stand still even after cutting costs? There's a certain electricity in the air around TD Garden these days, and it's not just from the parquet floors. Brad Stevens, the mastermind who orchestrated Boston's 2024 championship run, is reportedly back in his laboratory cooking up something intriguing. According to insider whispers circulating through NBA front offices, the Celtics aren't just window shopping. They're actively prowling the trade market like a shark that's caught the scent of blood in the water. Let's be crystal clear about something. This isn't your typical team exploring options narrative. This is Brad Stevens we're talking about, the same executive who pulled off the Kristaps Porzingis heist, who convinced Marcus Smart to waive his no-trade clause, who somehow convinced everyone that trading for Drew Holiday was actually possible. When Stevens gets active, championship banners tend to follow. Rewind to this past summer, and you'll remember the gut-wrenching decisions Stevens had to make. The second luxury tax apron. That financial guillotine hanging over the league's biggest spenders forced Boston's hand. Key rotation pieces from the championship squad walked out the door, not because they weren't valued, but because the mathematics of modern NBA finance demanded sacrifice. It stung. Watching championship contributors depart always does. But here's where Stevens separates himself from ordinary executives. He doesn't mourn, he adapts. While other front offices might have entered preservation mode, Stevens apparently looked at his roster, looked at the league landscape, and decided that standing pat wasn't an option. NBA insider Matt Moore, writing for Fansided, dropped a fascinating nugget that should have every Celtics fan leaning forward in their seats. Boston is routinely mentioned as a team that continues to canvass for opportunities. It's tough because they aren't willing to take on money after their cost-cutting efforts this summer, but they remain one of the more opportunistic teams. Read between those lines. Routinely mentioned means Stevens is working the phones constantly, continues to canvass, suggests this isn't a recent development, it's been ongoing. The Celtics aren't reactive. They're proactive, mapping out every possible avenue to improve this roster without drowning in luxury tax penalties. Here's where things get genuinely fascinating. Despite the summer cost-cutting, Stevens still has ammunition that would make most general managers jealous. Let's inventory what's in the war chest. First, there's the 2026 first-round pick, fully unprotected and available. In a league where draft capital is currency, that's a golden ticket. Then there's the collection of young talent scattered throughout the roster, players with upside and potential that rebuilding teams salivate over. But the crown jewel? That's Anfernee Simons and his $25 million expiring contract. In the Byzantine world of NBA salary matching, an expiring deal of that magnitude is like holding a skeleton key. It opens doors that would otherwise remain locked. Teams looking to clear cap space for the 2026 free agency bonanza will view that contract as a gift from the basketball gods. Think about the possibilities. A contending team stuck with an underperforming player on a long-term deal? Simons' expiring contract makes the salary math work. A franchise looking to tank and accumulate assets? That expiring money is perfect for absorbing bad contracts while stockpiling picks. Stevens isn't just holding assets, he's holding flexible assets, the kind that fit into multiple different trade scenarios. This is where the intrigue deepens into genuine mystery. What exactly is Stevens building toward? The reporting suggests two potential pathways, each with dramatically different implications. Path 1. The Star Hunter approach. Stevens could be positioning Boston for a major splash, the kind of blockbuster that dominates ESPN's ticker for weeks. If the goal is to immediately reposition the Celtics as championship contenders for next season, that means going big game hunting. We're talking about pursuing all-star caliber talent. The kind of player who changes the trajectory of a franchise overnight. Imagine the possibilities. A disgruntled star elsewhere decides he wants out. A team's rebuild accelerates faster than expected, making their veteran centerpiece available. Stevens, with his collection of assets, could swoop in and make an offer that other teams simply can't match. It's the high-risk, high-reward strategy mortgage some future flexibility for immediate championship equity. Path 2. The sustainable build. Alternatively, Stevens might be playing the long game with surgical precision. Instead of swinging for the fences, he could be targeting players with long-term upside, younger talents who fit Boston's championship timeline while keeping financial flexibility intact. This approach prioritizes sustainable excellence over immediate gratification. Think about it. Jason Tatum is only 26. Jaylen Brown just turned 27. The championship window isn't closing, it's wide open for years. Why sacrifice long-term flexibility for a short-term fix when you can methodically build a perennial contender? Here's the thing about Brad Stevens. He's earned the benefit of the doubt. Since transitioning from the sideline to the front office, his track record reads like a masterclass in executive excellence. The Derek White trade? Highway robbery. The Kristaps Porzingis deal? Brilliant. The Drew Holiday acquisition? Championship clinching. Every time skeptics questioned his moves, Stevens proved them wrong. Remember when people thought trading Marcus Smart was franchise malpractice? That worked out pretty well when Boston hoisted banner 18. The man doesn't just make trades, he makes winning trades. But, and this is crucial, past success doesn't guarantee future results. The current situation is uniquely challenging. Stevens is trying to thread an impossibly thin needle, improve the roster without taking on additional salary, maintain championship competitiveness while operating under severe financial constraints, and keep the championship window open for Tatum and Brown without sacrificing too much future flexibility. It's like trying to renovate a house while living in it during a hurricane with a limited budget. The degree of difficulty is off the charts. Here's what should concern Celtics fans. Time isn't infinite. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown aren't going to wait around forever hoping the front office figures things out. These are two players in their absolute prime, coming off a championship, who understand their window for sustained excellence. Add in Peyton Pritchard, who's emerged as a legitimate rotation piece, and Sam Hauser, whose shooting makes him valuable in any system. And you've got a core that deserves reinforcements, not excuses. Championship cores are precious commodities in the NBA. You don't squander them with half measures and hesitation. The February 5th trade deadline looms like a date circled in red on every calendar in the Celtics front office. Between now and then, expect the rumor mill to go into overdrive. Every available player in the league will be connected to Boston in some speculative trade scenario. Some will be legitimate possibilities, most will be pure fantasy cooked up by board media members. As we barrel toward the deadline, here are the signals that will tell us Stevens' true intentions. If Boston starts making calls on established veterans with multiple years left on their deals, that's the star-hunting pathway, revealing itself. If the Celtics focus on younger players with team-friendly contracts, that's the sustainable build approach. And if Stevens somehow manages to shed additional salary while improving the roster, well, that's just Brad Stevens being Brad Stevens, pulling off magic tricks that shouldn't be possible. The beauty of Stevens' approach is its flexibility. He's not locked into one specific strategy. He's keeping every door open, every option on the table, waiting for the perfect opportunity to present itself. And when it does, history suggests he'll pounce with precision. Make no mistake, the Celtics are in retooling mode. But they're retooling from a position of strength, not weakness. They have a championship core, tradable assets, and an executive with a proven track record of winning trades. The constraints are real. The second apron isn't going anywhere, but constraints often breed creativity. Will Stevens pull off another heist? Will he make multiple smaller moves that collectively transform the roster? Or will he surprise everyone by standing pat, confident that internal development is the answer? We're about to find out. One thing's certain, between now and February 5th, Celtics fans should keep their phones charged and their Twitter feeds refreshed. When Brad Stevens gets active in the trade market, things tend to happen fast. And based on his history, those things tend to work out pretty well for Boston. The chess pieces are moving. The phones are ringing. The NBA's most opportunistic front office is hunting for its next advantage. Championship banners aren't won in November, but they're often built in February. Stevens knows this better than anyone. So here's my challenge to you. What move would you make if you were in Stevens' shoes? Drop your trade ideas in the comments below. Let's see who among you has the mind of a championship executive. And if you're as hyped as I am about the possibilities ahead, smash that like button and let's ride this trade season roller coaster together.